Hey, what's up everybody? This is Ben from Avenue Fitness, and we're here today to talk about sleep. It's a thing that most of our clients, when they come in walking through these doors, is something that's very misunderstood. They kind of put it on the back burner when really we should be spending at least a third of our lives sleeping. It's a time for relaxation, it's a time for recovery, and it's a good way for you to recharge. So we bring in today Carlos Reda, Monster Man Extravaganza, here to talk to you guys about sleep, why you really need it, and not necessarily worrying so much about the food and the training, but really making sure you get those 8 hours a night. So I'm going to turn it over to Carlos. Hit it.
One of the things that's important about sleep in our lives as humans, we worry about movement, exercise, nutrition. One of the biggest components we don't really spend a lot of time looking at is sleep. Over the last probably 5 to 10 years, there's been a lot of research coming out on how important sleep is, the effects of sleep, when you get 8 hours of sleep or less than 8 hours of sleep. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine talks about the effects of decreased sleep and types of sleep deprivation. Types of sleep deprivation, there are typically 4: stress, voluntary, personal obligation, work. Voluntary is where it's a psychological issue, where you're keeping yourself up for no apparent reason, but you just can't unplug and can't go to sleep. Personal obligation are things that we all go through. If you've had kids, you've had children, where you've had husband and wife, maybe tag team, where one is up for 2 hours, the next is up for 2 hours, or if you have personal obligation like having to take care of somebody, a sick family member, or you're in the hospital with somebody who's in ICU, where you're not getting very much sleep, 2 to 4 hours or less than that. Work is where you're always stressed out over, whether it's a stock exchange or gas trades, whatever it is that work is affecting your sleep, you cannot sleep. And stress, life stressors, things like relationship stressors, things like family stressors, with something that's going on with a sibling, a spouse, everyday stress that keeps you awake. What the American Academy of Sleep Medicine talks about is 1 in 5 people have a sleep disorder, meaning they're getting less than 8 hours of sleep a night. Think about that. That's, in here we have 8, 10 people that work here. There are probably 2 people that have a sleep issue. I can say for myself that I've been one of those. I've been on that side of having a sleep issue. The effects, not a lot of people talk about how sleep affects them. The importance of sleep. Everyone likes talking about the nutrition part because that's an easy behavior to fix. A lot of people talk about the fitness part and they think, oh, hey, I can out-exercise a bad diet, or I can out-exercise, whatever, or I can change my eating habit and everything is fine. That's only a piece of the puzzle. Sleep is just as important as your exercise behavior and as well as your eating, nutrition behavior. The effects range from hormonally, what it can change on you, mood, performance, health. The biggest things are hormonally, what happens with glucose intolerance. Your glucose intolerance is impaired, which means one of the things you're going to want to start craving is things that are salty, crappy junk food, sweets, which also leads to, you think about that, following that ladder and following that lead of glucose intolerance impaired, diabetes, obesity. Your leptin, you have decreased leptin, it's an appetite suppressing hormone. Well, if it's an appetite suppressing hormone that's decreased and your glucose intolerance is impaired, all of a sudden you're never going to have that feeling of being full when you sit down at a regular meal. All of a sudden, I'm hungry, I need more stuff, I want to eat more stuff, salty, crappy junk food. Cortisol levels, they tend to be increased. We all hear about cortisol levels. And cortisol level is good. When you have a real hard training session, your cortisol levels will go up and your body wants to go back down into homeostasis and go back to normal. But with sleep deprivation, you'll have increased cortisol levels at night and they're slow to return to normal. So where at night your cortisol levels are returning back to normal, you're going to reach homeostasis where your body's back at normal. Hey, I can train really hard. Well, it's taking a lot longer to get to that point and may not even get to that point over the course of weeks or months, depending on how long your sleep issue you've had. Immune system. It affects your immune system. Think about your immune system starts in your gut If I'm having all of these issues hormonally with, I'm now starting to put crappy food in my body, I no longer have an appetite suppressing hormone that's working, and my cortisol levels are through the roof, then my immune system is going to suffer as well. And those are just the things that affect you from a hormone standpoint. From the training aspect of, I'm a runner, I'm a triathlete, I'm a lifter, whatever you want to put into your mood and performance, whatever you do, infertility, weight gain, being hungry, irritable, impulsive, memory loss, motor skills, the ability to make decisions. You're distracted easily. You know, that person that you probably work with, you know, who's squirrel, you know, that person, very distracted during conversation. Falling asleep or falling asleep while driving. You know, we tend to have one or two of those people that we know that fall asleep while driving or fall asleep at work. Anxiety and depression, as well as decreased sex drive. All those things, you know, are under that mood performance paradigm with what happens with decreased sleep. From the big standpoint of health, you know, all these things, people go, oh, that's not me, or I don't really care about leptin, I don't want to know about leptin, how do I know my leptin is, you know, low, how do I know my cortisol is high? Yeah, I might have some of those, I might have memory loss, but I might attribute it to whatever else. You start looking at, do you have high blood pressure? There's like one of your markers. Obesity, diabetes or borderline diabetic, and as well as heart issues, heart functions, things like how your heart is functioning from a standpoint of resting heart rate. If you want to look at a standpoint of measuring, using things like omega wave or bioforce, where you're looking at how your heart is functioning from the standpoint of performance or mood, that's one way you can measure. But those are the big things, the big markers that you can start looking at. Diabetes, you can look at blood sticks, doing a blood sugar stick. It's one way to start looking at elevated sugar levels, which will go back to hormone levels as well. You know, this is the big story with sleep and how it's all related. But now you go, well, how do I fix some of this stuff? The easiest things to fix is fixing behaviors. This is about fixing behavior if you're getting less than 8 hours of sleep. And some of the easiest things you can do in fixing behavior is things like in your room, as soon as you're getting ready for sleep time, things like no electronics before bed, no TV, no cell phone, no laptop, no looking at your investment portfolio, none of that stuff. You know, make it a habit. If you're going to go to sleep and try to change things, that you go to sleep at 9, 8 o'clock, no more input. No more input into your nervous system from electronics or things that will stress you out. Temperature in your bedroom. You know, you should have a really cold bedroom. You know, the colder the better, because all you want to do is find that one spot, snuggle up, and go to sleep. Stay warm in that spot. Your room, dark room, bat cave. If you have kids, you know about blackout blinds. You want your children, you know, infants especially, to have a blacked out room. It's not because you don't want to wake them up early and disturb their sleep. They sleep a lot better in a room that's very dark. We want that same thing, bat cave style, dark room. Other things that can help, things like going for a short walk, meditation, breathing exercises, and even family time. If you've got kids, playing with your children before bedtime, things that like just help to decrease stress, decrease cortisol levels. You know, maybe going for a walk, combining the short walk with an infant, you know, walker or stroller. You know, those are some of the ideas that can help with getting through, breaking the sleep disorder cycle.
Yeah, so it's huge. I mean, a lot of times it's all about, people come in here and they talk about training and they talk about food, but really we want to have that conversation started about sleep. So for now, don't worry about the food, don't worry about the training. Get yourself a dark room that's cold, pass out, sleep your 8 hours, and just recharge, recover, relax. So that is Carlos, our man from Knowledge. We'll see you guys next time. See ya.